Alrighty. Hey everyone. Welcome to Wheeler's Minis and another wonderful rendition of Mini Paint and Chill, where I mini paint and you chill. Before I get started today, a few quick things to get out of the way. One, if you aren't already following the channel, please do. If you have the financial ability to, please consider subscribing. Don't forget that you can subscribe once per month for free with an Amazon Prime account with your Twitch Prime subscription. I would love it if that was me. If you'd like to financially support me in other ways, you can purchase something off my website at wheelersminis.com. Also, follow me on all my socials at wheelersminis on pretty much everything. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, thank you so much. Please subscribe there. It would mean the world to me. And yeah, we're just going to be working today on good old Doralia Ven Denst and then probably start Doralia. I had this really good idea that since he's probably been around for a while, his is more of a cool toned red, while when I paint her cloak, I might do more of a warm red, like it's a less faded version of it because she seems more new. Just seems like a fun idea. I don't know. So I think I'm going to go with that. But before we get started with that, we're going to finish him up. Only a small few more things to do. Specifically, we've got just some eyes to do. But water. And this black. This is the transparent black, so it kind of held its own, at least somewhat decently. And I'm using this very, very tiny brush to get the eyes done. Just gonna do. Work with me, please. Boom. That's actually probably some of the best eyes I've ever done. And then I did a little bit on the forehead, or rather the eyebrows before I started today. Let me see if I can get one, if I can remember which colors were where. Normally I would say if you're gonna do anything with paint that you've recently used, you should just do new paint, because the paint you used recently might not be the same paint that's on the palette anymore. But for this small work, I just gonna reuse the stuff that's on the palette. All right. So that's his eyes done. We're going to work on the flame a little bit and then really just some very, very tiny spot highlights and spaces. I'm going to get some black brown on the palette, and that's when I'm going to do the little inscription on his tag. And it's not going to be anything particular. It's just going to be consistency. I need it. Go. And that should be it for a little while on our quintuple zero brush. Yeesh. Tiny, tiny, tiny brush. And now we can start working with. So what I did, or what I'm going to do, is I got this speed metal from scale 75, and it is a very, very bright metal. And this is just going to be like very, very small points. Just where I really want the metal to have a nice bright sheen to it. Including on some of the brass parts. Really didn't need that much. Like I said, he is almost done. I worked on the base earlier too, so the base is also done. It's now just kind of getting in any extra small little bits of highlights that I want to hit. But honestly, I'm kind of happy with him. I'm proud of how I did with him and how he looks. Right there. All right, and that should be good with that. And then now, I'm gonna get some fluorescent yellow. Don't need too much, just a little bit. And get this. Ideally what I want is to get this down to almost like a glaze consistency so I can just have it fill in the recesses here. Nicely. Take a little bit of this black and basically get it all the way off, and then just kind of do my best to just kind of stipple it on up here to give the illusion of like a burning piece of coal. Also, kind of as it gets out here, just doing a little bit of a coverage there, so it kind of looks like it's turning to smoke as it furthers away from its source, but still kind of holds some of that heat. So do a little bit of fluorescent orange. And these are just the golden so flats that I rebottled into different bottles. But then just kind of going back over some of the work we did before, just to make sure that the yellow's in the recess and not on the flame itself. think that he's done. I don't think there's anything else that I needed to do on him besides the eyes, a little bit on the face that I've done, and really that's pretty much it. He looks pretty good elsewhere. He's got good contrast. A little insignia on him. Yeah, I think he's done. Alright, so now we just get him off his sticky. And then I can put him on as a base with superb glue. Different super glue that I want to use. Find it. Cleaned up the desk here. Oh, God. I have a feeling this is just going to stick a little better, give him a better hold, so just gonna... That one was sticking pretty well, but I just want to make sure that he's got a good bond, and the one that I was using is a little bit liquidy, so... Okay, well... I need to very quickly one... Let's see if I can do this in a quick manner. I accidentally grabbed a little bit of his inner cloak off with my fingernail. This real quick. Reapply. Now, and what I'll most definitely do, regardless, is probably put some more little tufts on the base for him. But yeah, that's him done, which is exciting. First ever Warhammer model is now done. And now we'll go on to his counterpart, which I pinned to this cork because I've never done that before, and I wanted to try it, see how I liked it. So, foremost, I'm just gonna... All right. So for pinning her, I just drilled a little hole in her foot. And put a paper clip in there, and then put the other side of the paper clip into this lovely piece of cork that Redgrass Games gives for their holders. So I'll still be able to do all the fun stuff that I did before. So she's very similarly colored. But again, like I said, what I kind of want to do is instead of having a more cool toned red, I think I want to do her in a warmer red. Because hopefully it'll give the idea that she hasn't been adventuring as long and like it's a family business or whatever, and his will just look more faded. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. We'll see how I like it. Still gonna hit it up with the same shade, that warm or that dark red tone. So there's a commonality in there's going to be a commonality in the shadow, but not in the tones. And even they do look the same, but she does definitely look younger. So I like the idea of like I said, just making her cloak a little bit more new. Um, to hopefully give the idea that she hasn't been doing this as long. And then for her boots and stuff, I did like the way that I did his boots, but I think I'm gonna change it and just not go as heavy on the highlights. Because I think it messed up what I was trying to do, and it wasn't the paint's fault. I think I just didn't do it correctly. I think I just need to calm down the highlights a little bit, and what that'll do hopefully is give me less of a bright color when I put the transparent black over it. So for her right now, the goal is just to get a good base tone down. She's ironically going to be a lot of the same colors. Like I said, it's still going to be that red, just a different tone. And then her leather bits and stuff are also going to be the same color as his, so that dark black leather. The only thing I haven't liked about this red is the coverage it's good. It just the way that it dries is just weird. And like I say every time I paint, at this stage you don't need to worry too much about being super accurate because you're going to go back over a lot of stuff with the detail. But with a brighter color like this, you're probably definitely going to just want to be a little careful so that way you don't get any color where it's not supposed to be and have to do a lot of extra work to try and get it covered up. So things to keep in mind when you're base coating, you want to be planning ahead for your next step. And sometimes that means just taking a little bit of extra caution so that you are not in any way damaging the model to a point where you have extra work to do later. See where a lot of her red is. Beyond what I've said recently about brush control, I think one of the other things I just need to work on is like having a better understanding of, and I think this is just because I haven't painted a lot of Games Workshop models, but okay, that looks like leather. Knowing what colors need to go where is such a big part of painting. And for most of my time painting, I paint with a reference for something. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it can be a hindrance. But one of the things that I always have trouble with is understanding where colors need to go to make sure that the model has matching pieces across it. So for instance, like this red, I'm looking at I'm basing her and Galen off of the box art, and there are just some parts of it that I can't tell if they're supposed to be a certain color or not, if they're supposed to be this red or they need to be a different color. And that's just something that I am bad at, is figuring out where certain colors go. And for some people, they may look at it and be like, well, you just need to do it here, duh. I just don't know where here is sometimes. I look at something and I go, that might be this. It might also be something completely different. And I think that just comes with painting more and more models. And especially, I'm usually very big about painting models that have big, wide open spaces. So it's very clear to me where things are. But that's not always going to be the case. So I just have to work on figuring that out in a way that is indicative to or productive in my mini painting. And much like anything, the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. So one of those things, for instance, is like the underside of this in her neck is probably more likely than not going to be this red. It's going to be that tannish tone um, that we used elsewhere. And that's the other thing too. If you're painting models that come together, and they come together like this box does, then, like I made mention to earlier, a lot of the colors are going to be the same. So you can take the other piece as a reference for what this piece is going to look like. And I'm not using my most, the best pointed brush that I have right now. I'm just using a size 2 brush that I've beat to absolute shit to get a good base coat. That's as you start painting more and more, you'll kind of understand the arsenal that you have at your disposal when it comes to brushes specifically. And over time, brushes will lose their ability to do the thing that initially they were good at. And then you just repurpose them, you recycle, you reuse, and you find a new use for them. Maybe they're your new stipple brush, or maybe they're a base coating brush now, whereas before they could be used for minor details and things like that. You save money where you can by reusing the things that you can for as long as you can. I just realized I said can so many times. So we do our best, and in doing so, hope for the best in return. Got that belt, and then this like, God, looks like it's part of the metal, or it's leather. In which case, that means that is leather. But this small piece is red. Honestly, it probably would have been easier just to airbrush her this entire color and then work around that color, but that's leather. That's leather. Not leather. And then this is where subassembly conversations come in of, is it better to paint the model before you build it or after? I've always just been of the mindset that when it's all together, it's going to be easiest for me to figure out. Yeah, it looks like she's wearing some kind of corset, but there's also a bit where it's red in there. I'm just gonna do this with my brush, and then when I come back to do the wash on it, I'll just allow the shadows to do their work. Because that's leather. This is red. That's leather. That's red. Leather. And I decided to go with this head. She did have a couple of head options, as Galen also had some different hand options. But I liked the torch and the gun. He had an option for a sword and a different gun, or a gun and a sword. I just like the setup I picked. I think it looks really cool. That's something I'll also have to get used to if I start painting more Warhammer models, is just realizing how deep the recesses go, because the parts of the model are just different parts glued onto each other and not a single piece, which is just really weird to me, someone who paints a lot of 3D printed models that only come in one piece. The one piece is real. So I'm just getting some red in there. That way, when it comes to it again, when I put the wash over the red, it'll just look good. And hopefully that shadow will just take control of that space. And now I'm just going over and making sure that any spots that look like they need it get just another little coat on them. That way the red is consistent throughout. Don't want too many dark spots showing through. And for this model, I am going to attempt to do a different lighting situation. I've been listening to a lot of Trapped Under Plastic, and I realized that I should probably be painting with lights from different angles, because I tend to do a lot of top down, which isn't very interesting when you're painting a model. So I'm going to work on that and see if I can get that to a level of which I'm happy with. So the fun part about this is that her leather parts are actually, some of them are not the same leather that he has, and I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I want her leather to be a little bit darker. So we're gonna start with black brown and then work our way up from that. And luckily, Pro Acryl's black brown works really, really well in tandem with the brown family from Army Painter Fanatic lines, and acts as almost a lower level of that paint family. That's where we're going to start. Work our way from there up. That's also something. If you're tuning in and you're watching this on YouTube, let me know down in the comments, or if you're watching this right now, let me know in chat. Do you prefer to paint with starting at your lowest point and then working your way up, or do you like starting with a mid-tone and then like adding the shadows and highlights yourself? It's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I'm intrigued to hear what people have to say, one, and two, intrigued to try something different. So maybe in a model coming up, I will paint starting at a mid-tone instead of a base or shadow, and work my way down and up and see how I like that. Luckily, as I've started to paint more what I would consider more of the standard of which I'm happy to sell and do commissions for, I am starting to kind of understand my style a lot better. And with that comes trying new things to see if your style can be changed in any way. That's my plan, is to just try new things until I find something that I really, really, really like. You only get better if you make mistakes or try new things. So with these models, one, that is me trying a new thing. These are the first ever Warhammer models I've ever painted. I won't say they'll be the last. I do really like the way that they paint. I think a lot of the ways that they're sculpted lends themselves to be painted. Oh, just kidding. That's not a corset. That's just a big belt. Either or, it's going to be this dark brown tone. Since I'm staying consistent with that across, we'll go on this as well. But I will have the quiver be black leather because that's what it looks like. I think. Unless the top part is metal. I don't think so. We're just gonna get this all painted up. We'll have to go back over that once that dries. All right, so for the ironically, actually, I think that is stitching and not. That's fine. I did it in metal. That's not unheard of. Just small rivets. All right. She's got leather on pretty much everything that is leather. And then the wood is similar, but I think I'm going to go with a deeper wood tone for her than the box art for her crossbow. I like the box art, but I also like darker wood tones. They look better, in my opinion. What I'll also do is make this back part that's holding this stake in, and the scabbard the same color as the rest of the leather. But I will make the leather on the scabbard that black leather. Just to have some differentiation. And Galen is going to be finished in a satin varnish because I think it lends itself to a lot of the stuff that he has on him, and shows off a little bit better some of the work that I did. So when I take him upstairs after I'm done with his base, he will be getting that as a varnish, especially because I plan on selling him. I like making sure that the models that I sell are finished that way, especially because I know that at least for most of them, they're going to get used pretty often. So I want to make sure that the paint job that I do stays. All right, so this is black leather. This is what originally I was going to do for Galen. It's a very purple toned paint. So I think it will do well with the black over it. And then if I want to move it up, I won't add white, I will add gray. So I can get a good gray tone in there for it. But this is going to highlight it in a way that isn't too drastic. And hopefully when I go back over it with the transparent black to bring some of the tone down on it, it won't be as vibrant. I don't want it to be too vibrant. I just want it to show off its edges, as is indicative of leather. Same thing with her boots and such. Oh, and she's got buttons on her boots. Oh, yeah. But this way, when I go back over with the transparent black again, it'll just be, it won't be as harsh of a contrast. It'll just have a nice gradient to it, which is what I'm looking for. All right, and then the same treatment for this. Because I'm just getting a base coat down now. I'm not hyper focused on the where the highlights are coming from just yet, but I will be soon. Let's do that color. Because it's black, it will stay there. And that is somewhat of the benefit of doing this kind of tone, is that because it is black, the undercoat of the primer will be just fine for it to keep that kind of color to it. And I think what I'm going to do too with this one specifically is I'm going to have it be a sorry, that was just a little too much for me, for my brain. I can actually like get a highlight tone on there and not just do the transparent black and like focus on that. So what I was trying to say was specifically like getting the, once the transparent black is on there, instead of just using that as my color, what I will do instead is actually go over with like a gray and hit it up to where it actually shows off those like bright points over the transparent black, so that way it makes it look a little better. All right. This one. Go back to it. Okay. Let's see what's next on our list of base coat. We've got. I guess we can work on that. Let's see. So I'm gonna start for the crossbow. I'm gonna start with mahogany, which is very like deep reddish brown, and then work my way up from there. And to give it kind of like a stained look, I'm probably gonna do various like thin lines throughout to kind of give it that look of it's like a stained piece of wood, like a treated piece of wood. Hopefully, it'll look how I want it to. Jeez, please. This is Mahogany by Pro Acryl. Sorry. A lot of the colors I've been using so far are Pro Acryl colors. So the black brown is one. The red is not. The black leather I said was scale 75, I believe. And if I didn't, it's scale 75. And then the transparent black I've been mentioning is also a Pro Acryl color. Covering it up a little bit, but I'm going to say that the handle is probably made of wood too. A little bit of the mahogany on her glove. That's okay. Not the end of the world. Only issue with making it a dark wood to start is it does make it a little difficult to see. But what am I if not a sadist to myself? So masochist, I guess, would be the actual way to say that. Right. That's the leather bits. Oh, I did forget. Sword hilt is also leather. Black brown's become one of my favorite colors. I paint leather a lot for D&D models, etc. Other things. And I just love the tone of it. I think it looks really good. So I guess would be this one. Those parts. And then we will use Iraco for the arrows, because those would definitely not be the same wood. And then I put some paratrooper tan down. Goodness. Okay. This down a little bit so it works a little bit easier for me. So same thing as before with Galen. We're working paratrooper tan on the underside of the cloak. Well, now I see where the issue with pinning comes in. Can't really get to the inner parts of this model. Trust myself to do a good job. Guess anything I miss, I can just go back over. Definitely hitting that boot up quite a bit though. I don't want to. That's fine, then I can just go back over it. Oops. Also fine, I can just go back over that. Need to go back over this anyway because it definitely did not have a good coat on it. Alright, and just take care of that real quick. Just get a nice little. Again, this is the time where you want to be making mistakes if you're going to make any, because this is the base coat, so you can always go over things again if you accidentally muck up. Oh, she's looking pretty snazzy. She's got the same. So I think we started out with weapon bronze last time. I think I'm just gonna on the palette though. A. We'll start out with weapon bronze, even though it's going to be more of a brass as we get there, like move up. I just want to make sure I've got a good base tone for it. Bronze is always a good starting point, especially as low as this bronze is. It's a good starting point, and then you can kind of move up from there. Be bronze. Oh, I made the hilt that kind of bronzy brass too. I did the other hilt in silver. Oh well. Again, I'm not really worried about placement of lighting right now because I'm still doing the base coat. Once we get more into the detail work, that's when I'll start really harping on my lighting and how I'm going to place my highlights. Probably should have done this part first before I put the leather on there, but hindsight is 2020. I will do my best with what I am given. It should be all of the pieces that are this brassy tone. Guess I could do her. Do her belt buckle in brass, why not? Oh, I did his belt buckle. Contrasts really nicely with the red. It's up a little bit. Alright. Now onto the gunmetal, which is what we're going to start with on this as well. Plate metal is also an option. Actually, yeah, we'll do plate metal. Let's start with plate. Kind of leaning still again into that kind of like she's younger, she hasn't been doing this as long, a bit of a shinier metal. Still fairly dark too. It's not like it's, you know, oh my gosh, blow you over the top. Vibrant. Just is a little more vibrant than gunmetal. And then I've got a dark silver from Pro Acryl coming in, which I'm super excited about. I want to see how that works in line with the low steels and things that I have. That is another. Go back and do real quick. Get this painted up. Such a nice metal. Army Painter really did a really good job with like making really pretty colors. Ooh, pretty paper. With their, especially with their metallics. Like they had really cool colors, like they had, you know, glittering green and gem red and things like that. But I just feel like when they released Fnatic, they redid the formula for them and they just look really, really nice. Metal part of her gorget slash breastplate. It might not be, but you gotta have good back protection. That is also leather. Yeah. Alright. And just very quickly. Let's paint the color that it needs to be. Going on the metal bits. We don't have too much more now besides the and because the boots do have studs on them, I'm gonna wait for that just to make sure that I don't muss anything up on that one. And I'll just hit them with the brightest highlight that I use for the silver. Okay, got metal. You know, really what they should do for the people who lick the tip of their brushes, they should find a way to put like some like really intense focusing vitamin or something into the paints that doesn't mess with anything and isn't like won't mold. That way every time someone licks their brush, it will boost. Hello. How you doing?
It has streaming on.
Pretty good. Got about 35 minutes left.
I don't have to make the dinner.
Okay. We'll figure it out. Alright, what I might do is end early today just because we do have to go grocery shopping and I want to make sure that that gets done. So once we're done with the base coat on her, I'll probably end it there. So it might be a shorter episode today, but honestly, still happy with everything that I got done today. No, it is. Oh, I guess it is a wooden stake, so I was like, yeah, the tip's gonna be metal. Nope. They are monster hunters after all. Yeah, I'm just getting paint on the model right now. Start to work on the details of it later. Not being super careful, but still being cognizant of where the paint's going. Alright, and now the most fun thing ever. Trying to figure out what color to start rope at. I feel like it's a beige neutral, so I might just start it at Tomb King Tan and move it up from there. We'll see how I like that. Sorry, there's just a little bit on there that I didn't want to be there. I guess that works. as we do stuff, we'll hit it up with a wash to bring some of the richness back into it to make it look like it's rope. I always have an issue trying to figure out what color to make rope, because it's like both beige, but sometimes it's hempen rope, so it has a little bit of green olive to it, and there's just not a good color that's just, you know, rope. But I think this is a good start for it. Where the heck did my... I just had it. Oh, it's right there. Goodness, maybe I should take a break. Alright, there is our rope. Okay. Probably also use some of the other tones I have. She is very blonde. Which is going to hit the top parts of she's very blonde and very pale, which is going to hit the top parts of yellow. So I'm going to base it in a mid-tone yellow. And then her skin, I'm just going to do the same thing again that I did with him. Just going to start her off with Moonstone. That's the lowest in the rose skin tone family. Good coat of it on there so she's got a good covering. And then from here I'll move up the rose skin tone tree, just like I did with him. I might do a wash on her. I don't know. She's a little hard to get to reach from this spot. So, no, I probably will do a wash on her. Help it out a little bit. All right. So our warped yellow is our you for doing it that way. Warped yellow is our middle tone yellow, and it'll go up to ice. Ooh, it'll go up to ice yellow. But this is where we'll start, and then we'll do like a wash over this as well to kind of bring it down a little bit. But it'll look a little interesting at the start. Again, we're just getting the base coat down for her. And we'll really start harping in on details. Ear shell? It does. It's so tiny. Really good sculpting. Again, only being kind of careful with this because it's still the base coat. And some people would probably start at like a golden brown or something like that for blind. I think that the yellow for me is a good start because then I'll have brown over it and then I'll just kind of move up from there. So just get some more skin tone on her. Just want to make sure that she's got a good coat of that. Especially deeper down on her face. Looks good. Alright, so the thing we'll do is just go back around this. Go back over the part that we accidentally hit with the color. Sweet. All right. So we got a pretty good starting point for her. The Galen's done. He's on his base. So I will finish up here. That way I can make sure my wife is happy and we can go grocery shopping because we're about to have a freeze. Just want to make sure that we are well stocked up. So thank you so much for hanging out. Sorry for a shorter episode today, but it is what it is. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. If you're a Critical Role fan, as I am, buckle up. But that's going to do it for me today. Again, I really appreciate you guys joining and hanging out. If you got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe as well to my YouTube channel. And yeah, that'll do it today. Pick up next week. I might do a little bit of work on her in the interim just so we can kind of switch it up and do something different next week. I got a bunch of stuff unpainted on here. I got a Frost Giant I can do, some Winter Wolves, another little character guy that I was really excited about, so maybe we'll do that. But yeah, that'll do it. Again, thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys on Tuesday, and enjoy the rest of your night and your weekend. All right, later, guys.